Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We're going to continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. We are currently in End of Dragons, so we're really getting close to the end of the personal story in terms of where it is right now in early August 2023. Now that's fixing to change in late August 2023 with the introduction of Secrets of the Obscure, but we're not there yet, and the goal is to get our story playthrough to the point where we're ready to receive that expansion. I mean, it's a fairly recent goal, but it turns out that we're on target to do that. So let's make that our goal. With that in mind, let's continue our story playthrough. What was going on when we left off? Well, we have identified the an indicator of where the Aetherblades, who, as we recall, kidnapped Goric, and in our pursuit of rescuing Goric, that brought us here to Cantha. Um, we're close to determining where their hideout here in Setong might be. Setong being this portion right here, and presumably this as well, although none of this is playable right now. I can see a future where this becomes available as a playable area, much like this down here. Part of this is already this is something that we just haven't been in yet, but this is already playable, as is this. But maybe this down here or this up here. Some of this is going to become, in all likelihood, playable at some point in time. But to bring us back on point, this is Setong right now. There is an Aetherblade hideout somewhere around here, and we're going to try and track it down. But before we got a chance to do that, and why are we chasing down the Aetherblades? Well, we promised the Empress that we would. And we have a personal investment in that, since they not only kidnapped Goric but attacked Irene, right? Like drained her dragon magic. So we were about to head to where that hideout was, and we got called away by Irene, or rather, we got called away by Keith, who said, "Hey, there's something wrong with Irene." So let's find out what's going on there. That's colorful. There's things happening there.
Alchemy, you're here.
What's going on, Tiny?
I don't know. Oreen and Kate,
They're fine. June, what are you doing here? I told you my jade tech can help your dragon. So that's what I'm doing. Helping.
we were talking to Oreen when she went quiet all of a sudden. It's like she's sleeping, but not. I thought it could be a concussion from the fall, but then Kate, she fell silent too, while still standing. I don't know if she's being affected because of their connection or what.
All my tests show Oreen's magic levels are steadily improving.
Perhaps the extractor caused...
Alright, so something has happened.
Hello? Hello?
Right.
Over here.
We've been pulled into some sort of altered state. So maybe it wasn't Keith that called us. Maybe it was Tybee. I genuinely don't remember. Someone called us because they were concerned about Irene.
Keith, where are we? Shh. They're talking.
They're not just mortals. They're my friends. They're your flock. The shepherd watches and protects, but she does so in solitude. When I created the others, I thought, I don't have to be alone anymore. The other elder dragons? You're there. I was imperfect, you see. Attuned to water, but not the other elements. I thought my children would bring balance and harmony to the fabric of magic. But... then, what happens now? Suwon? Now, you take my place, little one. Consider what I've said.
Looks like they're coming around.
Oh, good. I thought it was contagious.
What just happened? That was the first elder dragon. The mother of all dragons. Isn't that right, Oreen?
Kralkatorik's mother. My great-grandmother.
What?
We'd spoken before. A few times. I didn't know who she was until we came here.
What does she want?
For me, to take her place.
Take her place?
and become the one Elder Dragon.
The last Elder Dragon who wanted something from you was Jormag, and we know how that turned out.
Suwon isn't Jormag.
Can we be sure? You can. Suwon's been Kantha's guardian since the Zaitan disaster. Or so goes the legend.
I need some time to think about this.
Of course.
In the meantime, we still have to find the Aetherblades.
And whatever that extractor thing is, how did they get their hands on something capable of doing this?
Anka was a brilliant machinist, and that weapon was Asura made, but the technology's beyond even the Inquest.
That's because it's Canthan. I gave it to Mai Trin.
You hired them, didn't you?
I did.
You hired them? This is all because of...
I didn't know what they were capable of, or their history in Tyria. If I did, I never would have... I'm sure you have questions. Ask me anything.
Okay, so we get a lot of interesting stuff here, honestly. From a lore perspective, the idea that Suwon is the mother of the other Elder Dragons is kind of interesting because it changes, like, the hierarchy. Whereas, like, all the Elder Dragons were, until this point, kind of viewed as peers to each other. Equals in terms of the balance of magic. This suggests something very different. And I suppose if you really wanted to go down the rabbit hole of everything that's introduced here, you could ask the question, well, why was there originally one Elder Dragon? Why was it attuned to water and not the other elements? Why was it then necessary for an Elder Dragon to somehow give birth to these other dragons to balance the elements? What was the mechanism for that? Like, lots of questions that I'm sure ArenaNet does not want to mess with at all. And thus, they do not. We're really not going to get more about any of those things that I just mentioned. But we've now established Suwon by name, because that name had not come up before now. And we've established kind of the lineage, if you will, of the dragons leading up to Arene, who's over here now with the addition of some Jade Tech stuff, presumably to assist her in recovering her magic levels. We see the same effect here that we see from, like, ley lines. So presumably it amplifies or helps gather whatever it does with the magic to facilitate Arene's recovery. And then we see something that essentially represents what we will later determine to be like a battery of sorts for magic. But we haven't learned that yet, so a little bit of a spoiler there. But we'll see more of that as we advance the story. We'll see a lot of this kind of thing right here. Now, when Arene was talking and other folks were talking to Arene about Suwon, and let's see. The first Elder Dragon, the mother of all dragons, isn't that right, Arene? Says Kaith. Arene says, Kralkatorik's mother, my great-grandmother. Taimi and Gorik both say what? Arene says, we've spoken before a few times. And as that conversation is happening, we saw June actually step away over here and kind of look away like she was thinking. Real subtle hints at story to come. Kind of suggesting maybe June knows more about this than she's letting on. Now, she does own some of that almost immediately when she admits that she facilitated, inadvertently maybe, the construction of the device that attacked Arene. She had been, to some degree, cooperative with the Aetherblades. She says that she, didn't know what the Aetherblades were capable of. And I guess we're going to extend her the benefit of the doubt on that. The story will give us more perspective on that, and I think ultimately the story is intended to kind of exonerate her and tell us that yes, she did not, in fact, or yes, she was ignorant to everything the Aetherblades were capable of. June, we do in fact have questions. You're working with Mai Trin, the Aetherblades. She is the Aetherblade captain.
She was working for me. She's got Canthan ancestry, so she could walk among us. My guards caught her snooping around one of my power plants. She'd hacked my security system. I could have made her disappear. No one knew who she was, after all. But I was impressed at her resourcefulness, so I told her to come work for me. I need people who can find my blind spots, and I took a liking to her. She became my protege. Bit of a slow learner, but she worked her ass off. Whenever I tried explaining Jade thermodynamics, she struggled. But somehow she always figured it out. I could never put my finger on it. That woman was haunted by something.
Maybe all the people she killed at Lion's Arch.
Maybe.
All right. We will gain insight to what it was that she was haunted by, and I think gain insight to why she eventually picked up various things as well. So the question of whether Mai Trin is actually capable of that understanding, is Mai Trin a genius or no? We will get more perspective on that, in fact, in the next instance. But we're not in the next instance yet, so let's keep moving. Why hire the Aetherblades in the first place?
I needed dragon research. As you're acutely aware, the dragon cycle threatens us all. And it turns out the best dragon researchers exist outside of Cantha.
Mm-hmm. She's got a point there.
The Aetherblades could go where I couldn't. That's why I needed Mai and her crew. I never asked them to kidnap anyone. I wanted to import talented researchers with their consent.
Okay, so we're going to learn more about that as well. June is not being completely forthcoming here. Probably being forthcoming with her intentions, but not being forthcoming with her motivations in terms of why she actually wanted dragon experts. We'll get to that part of the story. How did the Aetherblades get here?
Apparently, they came out of the mists. They were lucky to have landed in the ruins of Old Kaining and not... Well, you saw what happened when you dropped in on Xingje.
Yes, so clearly they would not have been welcome had they been more visible, as we were not welcome initially when we arrived. That's fine. You called Suwan Cantha's protector, right? So at this point in the story, we should be viewing Suwan as a threat, just as the Elder Dragons, the rest of the Elder Dragons were a threat, right?
I suppose it began with the Zaitan disaster. The massive tidal wave of undead that came crashing to our shores. Worst calamity since the Jade Wind. Even 100 years later, with all our advances, we still feel the effects. Well, Suwan is the hero of that story. Rising from the depths, turning back the waters and the dead. Poetic stuff. People say she formed a pact with Kunavang to protect Cantha. Salt Spray Dragon, local, hero in her own right. But, aside from a few rumors here and there, they've hardly been seen since. For Suwan to reach out to Aureen so soon after her arrival, well, it's certainly a fascinating development.
So again, June is not being forthcoming here. She's concealing quite a lot. But to be able to discuss what she's concealing would be to spoil story chapters to come, and I don't want to do that right now. So let's move on to the question that actually advances the story. Where are they now? I assume that's a reference to Aetherblades, not to Suwan.
June, the Aetherblades are planning something big. We need to track down Mai Trin before it's too late.
I only spoke with Mai, and usually on my turf. They have a number of hideouts across Cantha. In Xingje, I'd expect her to be hiding somewhere in Zendaijun. A cave, if I know her. My sources tell me the Ministry of Security's been looking for her, but somehow she's avoided detection.
The Blades are a sneaky bunch, but we've got experience with their bag of tricks.
Okay then, Marjorie, Gorik, let's finish this investigation.
Let me know when you find Mai Trin, Commander.
All right. Well, should we let June know? Should we not let her know? I don't know. That was an interesting conversation. The story's really not going to give us a choice. I'll be quite blunt about that. Nobody, gives us an option there. But that is what it is, right? So now to go about the business of actually finding the Aetherblade hideout. That story, that last instance gave us a lot of lore, but really, lore and story advancement are not the same thing, right? So it basically gave us nothing for story advancement. We are right where we were prior to that instance, which is we need to track down the Aetherblade hideout. It simply gave us, kind of more understanding of how we got to this point in the story, right?
We are receiving reports of high disturbances
One of the triumphs, I think, for End of Dragons, and I think I've mentioned this in every video for End of Dragons thus far, just because it's like so true, is the visuals associated with this expansion, the aesthetics of it, are really, really impressive. And I thought each major expansion was. And many of the maps associated with Living World were aesthetically, very impressive in their own right. But this one, and perhaps this map as much as any. In fact, well, this map and also Kaineng are both like visually very impressive.
Find anything interesting?
We were monitoring comm frequencies to see if we could pick up any Aetherblade chatter.
What we found were strange ultrasonic emissions in this general area.
You heard a funny noise.
Well, we can't hear it, but I believe that's the entire point.
The ultrasonic signal coincided with 2 Aetherblades entering this spider den. They vanished into thin air.
The spiders didn't attack them. Why? I believe it's because they were using the signal against them.
Okay. Do you need me to go in there and kill the spiders?
Last time you did that, you drove an entire subspecies extinct. I have a better idea. If I can match the signal's frequency, I can clear out the spider den without harming them.
Okay, just don't take too long.
All right. So are we going to be patient with Gorik? Let's be patient with Gorik.
Just need to clean up this
After all,
floor.
as he pointed out, when we were in Season 4, we did, in fact, drive a subspecies to extinction. And he was quite disappointed about that. He is an entomologist, so bugs are kind of his thing.
Concentrate.
Bugs being, of course, the scientific term for arachnids.
Almost got it. Almost.
All right, that's it.
Wait, I got it! You are incredibly impatient.
Yes, to get to the bottom of this Aetherblade plot. Aren't you?
Of course. Sorry, I was... Let's find that entrance.
Even secret doors have giveaways. Let's take a gander.
Okay, so we could spend like a whole bunch of time like poking around here trying to find it. I kind of don't want to waste time though. There's the cog skull, which definitely, like the first time I played through this, I did not find it
Found
immediately.
an Aetherblade marker.
Like that's pretty well hidden. Like even from here, it just looks like rock. Blends in pretty well.
This wall, it's a hologram made of hard light. Whoever built this is a competent holosmith.
Must be some trick to deactivating it.
Okay, so in short, to make hard light, you need a photon forge. It's the only way to give mass to light particles.
I feel like we should be paying you for this masterclass in Hollowsmith jargon.
Oh, I love talking about this. Anyway, this forge is custom built. Impressive, but its emitter has a critical flaw.
You said this would be short.
Oh, a continuous combinatory assault should overload the forge. Try that.
All right. In other words, use a combo field and finisher, and thus, let's see, which one of these is a finisher? Oh, come on. All right, that one is.
Aha! Excellent work, Commander. Come on.
What are you?
I thought this one was
It's the
too.
commander.
I guess not.
Wither! Time to do some real damage. Clear the air!
We're as good as dead if we keep this up.
Timey, it's me. There's definitely an Aetherblade camp in Zendaijun.
Just like I told you. I'm leaving now.
Wait. What?
Where are you going? Mai Trin has a lot to answer for. And she's going to look me in the eye when she does. Commander, I'm on my way.
Like seriously, June, what are you gonna do?
Commander, she's gone.
We haven't cleared the camp yet. It could still be dangerous.
I'll go with her, don't worry. Timey, you stay with Aureen.
Not gonna argue with that. Stay safe, Commander.
Is that a first, where we tell Timmy to stay somewhere and she doesn't argue? Might actually be the first time that happens. Why am I going so slow? Going at like in combat speed. It's really weird. Alright. So we got like a little bit extra lore here. You don't have to stop here for the story, just to advance, but might as well.
She's talking to her friend again. All bad advice, based on old grudges and past glories. No imagination. In the mist, we had to repair our fleet. And we could only get the parts from ourselves. Our past selves. A lot of people want to kill who they were, but the parts they hate. I actually got to do it. It was disconcerting at first. Then, liberating. Mai Trin never did. It scared her. Should have known then.
Okay, so that's not really about Mai Trin. Not really, right? The person talking is Anka, and she's talking about Mai Trin, but really what it gives us insight to is Anka. I think more than anything.
Where is everyone?
This place definitely has more aether than blades.
Aren't you clever,
Oh,
Marjorie?
come on, nothing? Tough crowd.
Not a tough crowd. Bad joke.
The captain was very clear.
Hear that?
If we're going to strike back at her, it needs to be massive, yes? It needs to be... We need overwhelming force! What I'm asking you to do is follow orders! You kill her until she is dead. Then you repeat the process. Do you understand?
Alright. Is that it? That it in its entirety?
Where is Mai Trin?
Commander. What, no dragon this time?
That's a sore spot we'll be getting back to in a second. Where is Mai Trin?
No. I swore an oath to my captain. I intend to keep it.
Mai Trin betrayed her closest friends. How do you know she won't betray you?
That's a lie. It was Anka. She started this. Her and Redyak and all the others. They broke their oaths, but not me. Not Ivan.
Okay, so what we should be getting a hint at here is some major rifts or divisions within the whole, like, Aetherblade thing, right?
You might as well give up.
Bet he's using the same half-assed tech that was blocking the way in here.
Jory's right, Commander. His photon forge has the same flaws as the one above.
You say flaw. I say unique characteristic.
I can't help but wonder if that's a joke about, like, you know, the game not having bugs, the game having features. Like, you know, Ivan seems to take the same approach to his photon forge.
Stand down, Ivan. If you do, we can talk.
I won't betray her trust. I'm the only one left who can.
We heal as one. I'll break you down. Rip him up. Wither.
I can override his photon forge.
Then do it. Now!
You're gonna make me talk, huh? I promise you, I won't break as easy as your Asuran friend.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You're going to tell us where your captain is hiding, so we can have a civilized conversation.
I can't. I won't tell you where the key is.
Okay, there's a key. Let's look around.
Idiot. Shouldn't have. Of course, just open the door for them, why don't you? Stupid, stupid.
So it's not often that... what are these mole people called? I totally forgot. Dredge. It's not often that we get a Dredge character in the story. And that in of itself kind of makes Ivan fun in a way. He just said there's nothing in there in any of those.
Sorry.
There is in fact something in this one, though.
Commander, please, don't hurt her. It's not what you think it is.
Don't suppose you'd care to explain what that means.
It's not for me to say.
Okay, so that's actually, like... I think that's good dialogue. Maybe that's just me. But, like, it must have been tremendously difficult for ArenaNet to resist the urge to provide too much exposition. Because sometimes they they're guilty of doing that, and they seem to do it when things don't make sense. Then they're like try to like explain things. But here we get the opportunity to be given something that just kind of hints at something more, and then we get to something more through actual gameplay, and that's like kind of the more fun thing to experience.
Alright, enough. It's time to get some real answers.
Captain Trin, show yourself.
Oh, this is great. Now I've got the Dragon Champion, an ace detective Delacroix, here to tell me how terrible I am.
Mai Trin.
Wow. You just brought everyone, huh?
You can feel sorry for yourself later. What are you planning, Trin? Where'd you send your Aetherblades?
Ha! Me? Send Aetherblades? Why exactly would I do that?
I don't know. Why'd you order them to kill Aurene with that magic extractor?
It wasn't... I mean, I didn't mean to.
After all we've been through, everything I gave you. This is how you repay me.
Oh, someone needs to calm down on that whiskey.
You're right. You can't trust a pirate. I'm done. We should finish this now.
Hey! What are you doing?
Prioritizing targets.
Stand down and let them go!
You are in no condition to fight.
Listen to them, Mom. I could never beat you, Commander. Too many scores to settle at once. Just need a little help. Just a little more.
Feel the fury!
Spend a few years in the mist. You meet the most fascinating people.
Wait, what's happening? I'll break you down.
Commander, she's tapping into the power of the mists.
A revenant. Like
They'll have to
Gridlock.
hit much
It's the
harder.
only explanation.
I need your power.
It is in fact the explanation.
More. Please. I can't lose again.
Scarlet. It's not her. It's a revenant echo.
Time to do some real damage.
Oh, I'm kind of in a bad way here. There we go. Should we go ranged? Oh, we're on longbow, not on axe. Ah, I forgot. When did I do that? Huh. Well, we're stuck with it now.
Stop! You're taking too much.
She's losing control. If we don't stop it, it'll kill her.
She's too strong. Her voice. That laugh.
Okay, so this is an interesting thing. It's going to be kind of hard to really talk about all this while we're doing the while we're engaged in this, but we'll try and cover what we can here. This is the first time we see like that we're presented with the idea of a revenant who somehow like doesn't have control over the spirit that they commune with, because we don't see that at a Ritlock, and of course as the player character does not experience that as a revenant. If we decide to be a revenant character, then conveniently, because you know we are the commander, we are the player character, and so forth, we tend to be in complete control of everything that we're doing, right? But that is not Mai Trin's experience here. I think we actually want to be in this one if I remember right. I'm sure if I did the strike mission, I would remember better.
Time to do some real damage.
She's gone.
Scarlet Briar. You think she could be behind this?
She died on the Breachmaker. Like Cass said, that was just an echo.
I can't hear you. I can't. The laughing.
What's wrong with her?
Revenants can have a hard time tuning out all the voices from the mists.
Ritlock actually needed a blindfold at first. Something to help him focus.
Give me a minute. I'll come up with something.
While you take care of that, I'll relieve the prisoner of her weapons.
Good job, Marjorie. Nice to see you on that. So, the Revenant was introduced with Heart of Thorns, and I mean, it was a pretty cool thing, and I still think Revenant's pretty cool. They're kind of difficult when it comes to gameplay because they work sort of differently than every other class in Guild Wars 2, which I don't love because I think for new players that must be like really odd that there's one class that just functions differently than all the rest. Each has their own unique things, but they're like kind of core systems, like being able to pick your utility skills, that the Revenant like changes, and so I don't know that I love that the Revenant is so different versus other things. But it was introduced a long, long time ago, and the lore to accompany it has kind of come along in bits and pieces since then. So we get some of that here. So we establish again, because I think it's already been established, but we establish once again very clearly that like the Revenant spirit is an echo. It is not necessarily the direct spirit of whatever they, whoever that is. So for us as a Revenant, this character's not a Revenant, but if it was, we'd have like Jalis or Shiro or Glint, right? We're not directly communicating with Jalis or Shiro or Glint when our character like randomly talks to the spirit, apparently, right? Because it's an echo like that. We were just plainly told that. And yet, not only is Scarlet Briar as like the spirit that Mai Trin communes with, so strong that Mai Trin has direct conversations with her, as was evidenced in several conversations leading up to this that we've had in this video, right? So remember the Anka audio stuff back here, talking to her friend, etc., etc. That is a reference to Mai Trin talking to Scarlet. So while it might be an echo, it's an echo with enough manifestation of the real Scarlet for a conversation to happen and for Scarlet to have influence, and apparently will, when it comes to the interaction with Mai Trin. And we see that will exemplified where Scarlet takes over and Mai Trin loses control. So it's really weird there because this used to be an option where you could choose from a number of different things.
Okay. I guess now we just This'll make take a good that. blindfold.
Or maybe I just stood there talking too long, and so it removed the other options and just told me to go there. Under any circumstances, we got some cloth now. We're going to give Mai Trin a blindfold. That's going to help her like focus and thus block out like interference and help her, I guess, deal with the challenge of having what undoubtedly is a really difficult spirit to commune with in Scarlet Briar. I like that they introduced that there are spirits besides, because the player character interacts with some of the ones I mentioned as well as a few others. So what did I mention? Jalis, however you pronounce that. Shiro, Glint. There's also the Renegade one, which is like this char hero. I can't remember her name right now off the back of my hand. There's the Vindicator one, which is actually like two spirits. That's kind of the Vindicator's little thing. Who else am I forgetting? Ritlock interacts with Glint. There's Ventari. So you got these different spirits, but I like the suggestion that there's even more out there that the player character doesn't necessarily commune with, but that could, potentially be communed with. And we see that here with Mai Trin, where it's Scarlet, and that's kind of a cool touch. Even if I don't know how I feel about Scarlet being able to take over Mai Trin and still being only an echo. That's a weird. It's not a contradiction, but it runs dangerously close to a contradiction.
Here, take this.
Oh, thank you. It's quiet.
Mai, tell us what you ordered your Aetherblades to do. Where are they going?
They're about to attack one of your jade processing facilities, but not on my orders.
You're their captain.
No, I'm not. Anka mutinied. Took my ships and my crew. Said I was emotionally compromised because of our history.
Anka staged a pirate mutiny.
Surprised?
Not in the least. How How do we find her?
You can track them using the ship's transponders. Also, hello? I'm still trapped out here.
Ivan. Let's go. So this is pretty good dialogue here too, where Mai Trin interacts with Ivan.
Ivan, you didn't leave with the others?
Why would I? When Ivan makes an oath, it's for life. Commander, you can activate that console. Find where the ships were last spotted.
Okay, so they might be bad guys, Ivan and Mai Trin, but they do a pretty good job, they being the studio, do a pretty good job of, like, giving them certain attributes that are relatable or likable. And I think Ivan's loyalty here immediately makes him endearing to us, even if he's like a goofy bad guy. And that's good, because we're not necessarily going to say goodbye to Ivan at the end of this instance. So him being likable, or even, I don't know if I want to say respectable, but maybe to a degree respectable, is a good thing for the storytelling.
That's a very wide area.
Damn. Rainiac must have damaged the transponders. It'll show you the rough location, but that's it.
Somewhere around Kainin doesn't give us much to work with.
Anka wouldn't just attack any target. She knows what she wants. I can... Let me help.
Let you help. How about we help you into a prison cell? Or did you forget about your attack on Lion's Arch?
No, I can't undo what I've done. But I can help you find Anka. Please, let me do this.
You think after today, we're going to trust a word that comes out of your mouth?
Jory, you're right. But Anka has to be stopped. Before we have another Alliance Arch here in Cantha.
Commander, what do you think?
We'll take Mai Trin with us under careful watch. And Captain Trin, one wrong move out of you.
And you won't live long enough to wind up in Lion Guard custody.
I understand.
Also, I'm keeping your weapons.
Okay. I'll talk to some of my associates. If this Anka is targeting Jinlai Jade, we need to get ahead of it.
All right. In the meantime, we can head to New Kaining
And get arrested for not having a travel permit? You're a Canthan bureaucrat's worst nightmare, Commander.
Sounds like you two should pay a visit to the Ministry of Transit.
All right. You go stop Anka, and we'll go to the Ministry of Transit and fill out some paperwork.
Ministry of Transit. Electrifying.
Okay, so there's a little bit more here I like, and then there's some stuff that I don't like. I like the Ministry of Transit thing. I like that the commander's off to do her usual, or his usual, or their usual, whatever it is that your commander is, like thing, and hey, we're gonna go kick open another door, and instead they have to go fill out paperwork. Like, I kind of love that. It's high time that like they do something like that, even if it's not, I mean, they can't do that all the time. That'd be really annoying to the players. But just once, like, just put a curb on the whole, like, charging forward thing. That feels good. What doesn't feel good, at least for me, is how extra Jory's being. Like, I get it. Mai Trin was involved in something horrible and probably meets the criteria for a terrorist, and that's, like, really bad. The desire to see justice done is completely appropriate. And, like, I am A-okay with, like, the idea of taking Mai Trin in, taking her back to Lion's Arch. Like, all these things are good. But, like, the dialogue out of Jory is just so over the top that it's, like, a little bit off-putting. And it may, in that sense, it stops being as relatable, I think, as maybe they wanted it to be. I think they want the players to remember.
Hey, Commander. You'll find the Ministry of Transit office at Daigo Ward.
The bougie part of Xingje. Like Manor Hill.
I resent that.
I'm heading to the area for some administrative errands. Could you stop by when you're around for a quick chat?
Of course.
All right, fun little thing there where the commander resents the dig at Manor Hill. And why is that our commander resents that? Remember, our commander is a noble. I don't believe the commander says that if they are not a noble. So we have, like, that really, like, subtle touch there. I had completely forgotten about that when I created this character. That was not part of my design with making this character a noble. I made this character a noble so that we would have context for, like, the Farron stuff. But I am really glad that we got a chance to see that. It's a fun little thing that they don't do nearly often enough, but they did do it here, and I do appreciate that. All right, I kind of want to get this weapon thing straight really fast. Let's see. Did I put a weapon somewhere I didn't want to? I feel like I did. What did I take off? Longbow. Oh no, it's here in the right spot. All right. Let's head up there to the Ministry of Transit. And oh yes, Jory being like really over the top. I think ArenaNet wanted for players who've been around a long time to remember, yeah, Mai Trin is in fact a bad guy, right? Because they want to give her a little bit of a redemption arc, but for that to be meaningful, they first have to remind us that she is really a bad guy, or certainly was at least. And for new players, it helps them put in context what is taking place here. So I appreciate. What was that? An Oni? Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't like how they introduced this Oni thing. It's just another version of like the ambush thing that takes place during like bounties in season 4, and I don't know who asked for that. Like I don't think anyone asked for that. Anyway, so I understand why they gave Jory the dialogue they did. It just doesn't, in my opinion, like resonate very well because of how it's delivered. Yeah, it might be a voice actor thing, but.
Hello, I am Mai Trin.
Can we trust her? It's my understanding she led these pirates.
That's a good question. We'll be keeping a close eye on her. What I wanted to ask you is, can we trust June?
Her relationship with the Aetherblades is a concerning matter. One she'll have to answer for. But Madame June is not a traitor. Empress N is certain of this.
Understood. Well, I have to get a trade deal in front of Minister Ishikawa soon.
Please apprise us of any Aetherblade developments.
Of course.
Okay, I specifically wanted to hang back here because if you get close too fast, then it triggers Casimir's dialogue with you, which is going to happen when we walk up these steps. And I wanted to allow that dialogue to complete because Navon is actually an important character. She hasn't been thus far. We've barely seen her once next to the Empress when we met the Empress. But she's actually a very important character, so I wanted to allow that dialogue to kind of flow. Oh, it didn't trigger. Okay, cool.
So, I guess we're working with Mai Trin now.
Never thought I'd see the day. Think we can trust her?
What choice do we have? She knows Anka. And for what it's worth, I felt she was sincere back there. She's committed terrible acts. The people of Lion's Arch deserve justice. But it has been 8 years. There's gotta be space for people to change, to grow. We're all learning to be better people, right?
Maybe.
Well, I just want to say, thank you, Commander. I can tell you're trying to be more diplomatic lately.
Whatever I can do to make your job easier.
Navon, what's up? We have not really had a chance to talk to you.
The Ambassador was just updating me on your encounter, or lack thereof, with the Aetherblades.
The one called Anka staged a mutiny. We just missed them.
You have an intriguing air about you, Commander. You fail continuously, yet it does not seem to impact your morale. Your efforts have been remarked upon. The Empress appreciates all you've tried to do.
I'm not finished yet. Once we get to New Kaining, we'll deal with the Aetherblades.
We have every faith in you. Now, please excuse my brevity, but there are matters here that demand my attention.
Anything I can help with?
I'd focus on getting your transit documents first. Though, should you later have a spare moment, perhaps I'll avail myself of your generosity. Xingzhe is the model of serenity, but it has its issues. Naga raids, purists, and spiritual hauntings to name a few.
Okay, so essentially a laundry list of things that you could potentially do on this map if you wanted to hang out on this map and not advance the story. Nagas, purists, the hauntings, as well as, like, the hauntings are kind of... What are the hauntings? Because there's also, like, Risen up here, too. Anyway, like, all these things over on this side of the map, and that's all good. I like that Navon, like, takes a dig at us, not once, but twice. with how we fail continuously, and yet don't let it get us down. You know, like that's very good. And then also, you know, the Empress appreciates everything that we tried to do. Like that's all really good stuff. Um, it's not that I want the commander to constantly like be trashed, but the commander has become such an over-the-top character that a little bit of adjustment on that is a-okay with me. All right, let's come in here and get our transit paperwork. Ooh, like a loudspeaker. All right, take a number from the jar. You know, it's interesting, a world where they have loudspeakers and like robots at the front door, and we're taking numbers from the jar.
Number 9. Serving number 9.
Sweet.
About time. I've been waiting all morning. I ought to complain to your manager.
So sorry. Let me help you process your paperwork, and then I'll help you file a customer complaint.
Good, good. Only 144 more to go.
Okay, number 43. Step right up.
I just moved.
Making progress.
I was told to file a change of address with the Ministry of Transit.
Oh, so sorry. This appears to be the olive green form. The change of address form is more of a lime green or chartreuse.
Please! I've been here for hours!
Number 153, it's your turn. Please step forward.
153. I'm here. I'm here.
The commander, the great commander, held hostage at the DMV. All right, we're here.
Transit permit to New Kining? Sure thing. Just fill out this form for me, please.
All right. We need to pay special attention to 3X-12 or TAC-12, if you're into the whole artillery thing, and 53C or 53 Charlie, if you're a radio telephone operator. Those all seem to trip people up. Right. Okay. First field that we need to fill out here, ask for our names. So we could say Tasha Aetherwatch, which is, you know, this character's actual name. We can say Commander, because that's what everyone calls us. We can say Logan Thackeray, or we can write in Grand Poobah, because after all, that is our real title. I don't know, why would we sign as Logan Thackeray? What is this nonsense? The other three are at least like vaguely entertaining, but they came up with 4 options here. So there are some achievements. If you give the quote-unquote right answer every time, there's an achievement for that. If you give ridiculous answers, such as Poobah here, every time, there's also an achievement for that. Apparently I have both of them already. I don't see anything popping up here. I don't know why I have both already, but apparently I do. So let's go with the correct answers, just so, I guess, so we can demonstrate them here. Our name is, in fact, our character name. Our race. So our race, this is actually an interesting thing here. It's not asking us to put human, Skrit, or Quaggan. It's actually asking us to put Tyrian. This is a reference to, like, the, kind of the like, is it racism, or what's another term for racism? Kind of the, like this idea of like ethnic superiority that the Canthons have with everyone else. So literally they're asking us to say Tyrion here. What is our purpose for traveling? Well, it's a business trip, right? Don't say saving the world from catastrophic entropy and chaos, because that's ridiculous and the commander's full of themselves anyway. Business trip.
Thank you. What a beautifully filled out form.
Yeah, that's a dialogue for putting the right answers.
Indeterminate amount of time to process your transit permit. Then you're good to go. Please enjoy the local sights while you wait. Seriously, it might take a while.
Okay.
Mama? Are you still listening in on our calls?
Not willingly. You really need to use a more secure frequency.
While I wait for these transit permits to clear, is there anything I can do to repay my debt to Cantha? Navon mentioned she was swamped. Thought I could help.
That's actually... I'll be honest. At this point, we need all the help we can get. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, it's a lot.
Okay.
Thinking about the past.
So I do wish that if we gave like wrong answer. Oh, we already got that one up there. Oh, right. I came here to get the masteries for this character. All right. So I do wish that if we gave the wrong answers to the form, that the green bar would be like harder to fill, and if we gave the right answers, the green bar would be easier to fill. That is not, however, the case. We have to fill the green bar whether we like it or not. So if the meta event were taking place, which would be super awesome, I don't know when it does. I don't have the timer open. If it were taking place, then we would just do the meta event, and that would make it really, the green bar would be filled before the meta event was even over. Unfortunately, that is not an option that's on the table for us right now because the meta event is not taking place. So instead, I guess we have an event right here that we can do.
Feel the fury.
Let's see, we gotta break this break bar. And then I think she turns into a champ. So I think, oh no, an elite. Alright, we can probably manage an elite. Watch, I 100% will not be able to somehow.
Strength of the pack. Wear 'em down. These Tyrian outsiders bring nothing but war and suffering. Since their arrival, we have been plagued with misfortune. You never listen.
Alright, so earlier I was talking about like the ethnic superiority thing that the Canthons experience. So that's kind of built into their culture, but it is also like very specifically represented by the Purists. So as we go through this event and we like deal with the Purists here, that's kind of like put on display. I don't think that piece of like the culture here, or like what they were trying to do, I don't think was to be like heavy-handed with some sort of like moral or ethical lesson. I really do think that it was simply a way to make like the culture here like a lot more interesting and make Cantha more engaging.
You don't stand a chance against the true Canthan. You sick? Feel them. I'll break you down. The Empress let those insurrectionists into Cantha, and they repay her kindness.
You could almost look at this dialogue that we're getting here out of these purists as being similar to like the propaganda that's being spouted by Palawa Joko and his loudspeakers when we're traveling through territory that the Awakened control, stuff like that. It's really not like drastically different.
Feel the fury. These Tyrian outsiders bring nothing but war and suffering. Since their arrival, we
You'll have to
been
hit much
plagued
harder.
with misfortune. I'll break you down. Wither.
I think I already mentioned it once before, but this expansion makes great use of elites as a class of enemy that really doesn't get used a lot prior to End of Dragons. And that includes making great use of elites for like mastery points and stuff like, I'm sorry, not mastery points. Well, maybe in some cases, but also hero points is what I wanted to say. And I think that's a great thing because I think it's particularly with the power creep of the game, like vets didn't really hack it anymore as a formidable foe for a lot of players, and yet champions still have a tendency to cause some players difficulty. So elites provide that great middle ground, and in this expansion they use them well to that effect. This isn't really an event that is meant to be done by one person. Can it? Obviously it can. We're doing it right now. But this is really, some events are like very clearly like they don't care how many people do them, but this is one that ideally I think they wanted to have, multiple people working on it. It's a shame that there's no one else. I guess that's why it's offering to let us switch maps, right? We'll switch maps after this event, so.
I'll break you down. You sick? We heal as one. there. I'll break you down. Rip 'em up.
There we go. Oh, the nice thing about that event was it filled up a huge amount of our green bar. You know, we've had so many green bars throughout the course of our story playthrough, and I understand the necessity for them. But it's nice when we can get them filled quickly. Oh, is this event available again? Oh, but 3 or 4 have already finished. Maybe we can find the 4th one and just... Was it right behind us? No. Oh, I hope we're not going to miss it, because that would be a great opportunity to just finish. Oh, they're actually getting ready to do the meta event. And we don't need to do it now because we're filling our bar so quickly.
The Ministry of Security warns that a suspect involved in the pirate attack.
There we go.
May the sands take you.
So this is how it's meant to be done, right? All these people, and yeah, it should in theory scale up a little bit, but also there's a sense of, you know, of a group event playing like a group event where people are working together towards a goal, and that feels good. Oh, it almost filled it up and not quite. All right. So the other thing we can do here, in fact, let's go. Well, let's steal the commander's food. Thanks, Commander. All right. So the other thing we can do here is we'll go to where, if we were playing this story through for the first time, where we would need to be ultimately anyway. Well, we're not going to have to do this because we did this portion in the 0 to 0 playthrough. And yeah, I suppose if you really wanted to see it, you can find it there. So we're going to get to kind of skip something. The reason I a lot of times will fill the green bar just killing Aetherblades down here is because if this is the first time you've ever gone through this, you also need to complete this heart to earn yourself a skiff. This is where you get a skiff. Now, we don't necessarily have to worry about this time because we're so close to having the bar done and we already have the skiff that it's faster to do events. This takes a long time, or it feels like it takes forever to fill the green bar just by killing these Aetherblades on the beach. But when you do it, you're also, you'll see we make like tiny progress on the heart. So they give tiny progress on the green bar, tiny progress on the heart. You kind of knock out both at once. We might have to do one more after this one. We'll see here. Yep. That's all right. We can just take care of it right here with this little group.
Strength of the pack. They'll have time to do some real damage.
Oh, group got bigger than I was expecting. Oh well. We should be alright in theory.
I'm bleeding.
Talk.
Alrighty. So the make preparations also included getting the boat. So the heart person here, Suhi. Well, we can't see.
Hold a few strings with a buddy of mine at the MOT. Your transit paperwork is approved. You're a truthful, upstanding visitor of Cantha. Some people lie because they think it's funny.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Detective.
Don't mention it. Least I could do.
I like how he mentions some people lie because they think it's funny. Because obviously, you know, everyone's going to have at least one playthrough where they actually do that. Oh, I forgot. We got to go check back in with Casimir. She actually asked us to do that too, didn't she? And I completely forgot about it. All right, let's go say hi to Casimir. Then we'll get on our boat and head to Kaineng, which is exciting because that gets us to the second map. Oh, look at that. The meta's happening right now. A shame. A real shame. It's not a bad meta. The first time I played it, I didn't like it. I warmed up to it.
I'm approved to travel. When's the next transport to New Kaining?
Transports are booked months in advance, Commander.
The best bet is to sail yourself. Or maybe you could ride your Elder Dragon.
I'll stick to the boat, thanks.
We have ridden a ream before, but yes, we will stick to the boat this time. All right, so now we'll go hop on our boat. This is the part where if you didn't know to already work on getting the skiff, you would come to the realization, oh my gosh, now I need to go get the skiff. So then if you hadn't, if you hadn't worked on that heart at all, then you would turn around and go from grinding the green bar to knocking out a heart. And much like a Living World season heart or a Path of Fire heart, the hearts here are also kind of a bit like overtuned.
I have a boat and
in my opinion.
permits. Ready to head to New Kyning?
We're waiting on you, Commander. I hitched a ride in Jory's fishing boat.
How'd you get your permits so quickly?
Oh, I was in and out of the Ministry of Transit in 5 minutes. Very friendly clerk.
MOT wait times are pretty much a crapshoot. Commander, I'll meet you on the docks.
Oh, Commander. Navon would like to hitch a ride with you.
She doesn't have her own transportation?
I don't have all the details, but it'd be a really big help. For diplomacy.
Okay, Ambassador Meade. For diplomacy.
Alright, so obviously that looks weird for us because we literally just left talking to Navon, and then we get that message. But again, they designed this to where the assumption was that we would go from that conversation to the heart over here to get the skiff, and then come back around, and have that conversation.
Commander, last-minute business in Kainang, and as we said, transports are booked months in advance. Thank you for being so accommodating.
Happy to help. I don't mind the company.
Alright, so now we got Navon. Now, maybe part of their motivation...
Comfortable, Navon?
Very comfortable. I like to be close to the water. It's, inspiring. Your friend, the Elder Dragon. What is she like? Wise and timeless? Filled with sage advice and deep thoughts.
Aureen?
What do you think this is? A night market sale? Put those...
She's more like us than you might expect. She feels happiness and sadness. She feels loneliness and kinship. Though it's true that she's always trying to bear the weight of the whole world.
Sounds a lot like you, Commander.
Alright, here we have the med event happening right in front of us.
This is nice. Wish I could stay on the sea forever.
Me too. Should I change course and take us to the unending ocean?
Maybe another time. But, feel free to take the scenic route.
Alright, the name of the instance, by the way. So, one real quick thing before, because when we pass through the portal here, then we're going to enter the next instance. So, real quick, a couple thoughts. I like that they do this. I've talked before about how I like how they advertise masteries in the story. Now, the story already makes us get this mastery anyway, but now they kind of make it worthwhile by, like, putting other people in it and showing us, in our skiff, and showing us one of the benefits of the skiff, which is that it's like a 5-player mount. Because if we can't do this, if we can't put other people in the skiff, then it's just a really big, really slow skimmer, and that doesn't necessarily feel good. Or it can actually get pretty fast with masteries, but what's the point if it's only a skimmer? But by being able to park it and have people hang out and fish on it, and multiple people being able to ride around on it, it becomes something more. Also, a super weird, tiny little note of a thing that I like. I like the buoys here pointing us towards the portal. On the Kainang City side, there are no buoys, and the portal just floating out here by the edge of the sea is really hard to find sometimes when you're trying to go from... Why didn't we go through that? Oh, we turn around and... it's really hard to find when you're trying to go by water from Kainang back to Saitong. Kind of a silly thing. Are we going to be... no, you can't see... So, like, when the sky is like this, it's impossible to see. It's, like, right over here. I don't think we're going to see it because we're in an instance, but, like, when the sky's like this, you can't see it anyway. You have to get, like, way over here, right up on top of it before you stumble across it. Irrelevant for this instance because we're not actually going to go over there.
Beautiful, isn't it? In the wake of the Titan disaster, New Kainang, blossomed.
So some people do have complaints about New Kanang. They feel that it all looks the same.
Could you not? With the yelling, or the talking, or the breathing.
Mai Trin's a little hungover. So some folks aren't a fan of New Kanang because they feel like it all looks the same throughout the city, which it does a little bit, or that it's confusing to navigate, which it is a little bit. But like for me, it will always be cool just because that intro, that moment when you first arrive and you see all this, and then you come on the shore and you see everything going on here. The first time I played through this, I was sold when I saw that, and I remain sold. I think this is a cool map for just in terms of like its feel. Now it's not the most fun map to play on. It kind of lacks events and stuff, but overall, I think it's a good map.
This is incredible.
Well, you'll get plenty of opportunities to explore. But right now, we're on the clock. June has a jade processing site nearby. Gorik's there now, checking for any sign of the Aetherblades.
I'll leave you all to your business. Good luck with the Sky Pirates. Thank you for the ride, Commander.
Still trying to tune out those voices from the mists?
It's not the voices. It's the grog.
We should probably get you something to eat before we have to put you in front of people.
Really? Should I prepare a filet mignon for the prisoner?
That sounds swell.
I'm sure we can find something.
Well, I saw a noodle stand on the docks.
Yeah, see again, Jory being just
Let's
a tiny
move
bit
on.
extra.
And if you try anything funny, you'll be fiend food.
Aye, aye.
All right, let's go, Mai. We have to put up with Marjorie whether we like it or not, so we might as well just get this done.
So, New Kaineng is really something. I remember when I first saw...
Don't make small talk, Mai. That demented mass murderer in your head almost killed me once.
Yeah. Fair point. But you survived, right? And I wasn't even there for that.
You worked for her. And there's plenty of blood on your hands, too. Captain Ashford comes to mind.
Who?
Captain Theo Ashford. He had a husband and a kid. You assassinated him for his seat on the Captain's Council.
Oh, right. Dragon Bash. Captain's Council.
So it's coming back to you.
Look, I'm sorry about Theo Ashland, okay?
Ashford.
Ashford. And I'm sorry about what happened to you. And everyone in Lion's Arch. I'm not the same person. Scarlet made me feel like a part of something bigger. I was...
Just following orders? Contrition won't bring back the dead, Mai.
What should I do then? Should I self-flagellate until I die? What do you want from me, Delacroix?
I want you to get out of my face.
So I do, I understand why they inserted all that. And they probably need some kind of filler to get us from the boat over here to the noodle stand. I get all that, but this kind of thing, this whole conversation right here, I think it's one of those show me, don't tell me things, and they decided to tell us instead, and I don't know that felt super good. Hi, Noodle Merchant. How are you? We need food because my friend here is hungover. She could use some noodles. Your friend, oh, Balthazar's flaming beard. I can smell the grog even over the sea air. That's kind of gross, actually. If you want to fix her fast, you should order the Kaineng Spicy Bowl. There is actually an achievement for this. Is this the one? No, that's it. I don't know that I've ever done that achievement. It's kind of a pain. There's an achievement for getting the Kaineng Spicy Bowl, which is what we should get, because she literally just told us you should order the Kaineng Spicy Bowl. I guess if we were concerned that that's not what Mai needs during a hangover, then maybe we wouldn't do that. But let's get the Spicy Bowl. Wise choice. Nothing clears a bad hangover faster. If the stomach can handle it, that is. Well, let's see if Mai can handle it.
That's a hot pirate level spice. Ah, oh, so good.
What is wrong with you?
That was exactly what I needed. Thanks.
Gods, if you're done embarrassing us, maybe we can...
Run! Everybody run!
Sounds like trouble.
So before we go figure out what the trouble is, the noodle stand reminds me there is a chair, like gem store, right? Is it a toy? Are chairs toys? Yes, chairs are toys. There is a chair. Let's see if it's for sale right now. It is a noodle stand. It is a 2-person chair, or is it 3-person chair? No, 2-person chair. You can sit on it. Someone can sit next to you. And the two of you are sitting at a noodle stand with a robot serving noodles, and it gives you the ability to actually do like an emote with the noodles. So you could certainly make an argument that those kind of things are never worth it because they're just aesthetics and they're irrelevant to the gameplay. And it's kind of like a showing off thing because you're waiting for a meta event and you bust out your noodle stand and everyone's like, oh, look at this guy with his noodle stand. But if you're gonna buy a chair, I think it is a really fun one. And one of the few things I've bought from the gem store where I 100% feel like I got my money's worth. That wasn't like a quality of life item. Like I feel like these are money's worth, right? In my mind, there's no question. Like you get your money's worth out of these if you're gonna play the game for a year or more. But the noodle stand is something that it is not a purchase I regret. Really enjoy that chair.
That machine's going haywire.
I do regret most of my chairs. Alright, so we're just not going to give Mai her weapons because we're all resentful. So we're going to have to kill this thing on our own. No help from Mai Trin, I guess. So there's an achievement here that I'm not going to try and get because I don't care right now. Although we should get out of the slow because the slow is not what we want. And that is that this J-Tech loader will like throw like boxes like that at people. Like I threw one at Mai Trin there. If you get through this fight without ever getting hit by a box like that, then you get an achievement. If you don't have the achievement, it's exceptionally easy to get. You just don't melee it because those boxes move so slow that there's really like, if you're at range, you're not going to get hit by a box. See, look how slow that moves. And half the time, the robot's going to throw them at like Mai Trin or Jory anyway, so it's like a complete non-issue. But if you're right on top of it, meleeing it, then you might never see it coming, and then you'd be all frustrated that you didn't get the achievement. If you're trying to get that achievement, just range the thing, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
June sure knows how to make 'em.
Could have been more useful if I had my gun.
Why didn't you unleash Miss Breyer?
I don't want to hurt anyone. I won't call her until I have her under control.
I see.
Excuse me, trying to get through here. Hi, excuse me. Out of the way, please. Oh. Hello, Mai. Nice blindfold. Really accentuates your look.
Yo, nice to see you. You get a distress signal from the loader bot?
I heard people yelling. That generally indicates distress. You all took down a Jade mech by yourselves? It's actually pretty impressive.
Sorry, we haven't introduced ourselves.
June filled me in. I was helping out a friend of yours before. Gorik? Nice guy. Really likes his bug analogies. J-Tech all over the city's going haywire. That used to be rare, but the rate of failure's gone up this past year. The Jade Spiders will suss out any abnormal energy signatures from that mech. Just give him a second. Any moment now.
Is that supposed to happen?
Echo 1, Vault 1, fall in line. Deactivation protocol now.
And they're not deactivating.
All right, backup plan. We smash them to bits.
Alright, so now we basically get to go through the same fight again, but with 2 more mobs who kind of like buff the Jade Loader here. I think they buff it at least. Anyway, so more bots, same kind of general issue. The nice thing is that our Jade Loader started out at like 50 some odd %, so at least we're not, you know, it's maybe a little bit more manageable.
Just let it do its thing. Trust me. We're having a hard time trusting any of these Jade contraptions right now.
Man, slow is just a brutal condition. There we go, we dodged a box. See how easy that was?
Thanks for the help. That, what was it called? Jadebot? Really helped us out there.
Yeah? Well, here you go. You can use mine. In the meantime, I should probably scrap these guys. Catch you later. Mai.
Yeah, see ya.
Alright. Jade bots. A pretty fun mastery. It gives you some interesting things. Like Jade bots aren't the worst thing that they've ever introduced in the game. Oh. I have all this nonsense here. Alright, well, people kind of are not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of the fact that the Jade bots are by character. See, we just got our Jade bot core. We just got our energy booster. So now, when we're out of this instance, we can go equip these things and then utilize our Jade bot and get like charges from batteries and stuff like that. But you have to do it on every character, which means that you either need to craft them, and I think that's what that's why it's that way. Is it's designed to be a material sink. They introduced several material sinks, some that are pretty significant with this expansion. And actually, we got another one of the material sinks here with the research kit. This is designed to just remove a whole bunch of like gear, and actually not unidentified gear, but like crafted gear, out of the game. So, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Some people were really unhappy with the research kits. I don't have a problem with that. I don't love, though, the Jade bot being by character, because that means you either have to play the story to this point on every character that you want to core in, like to use a Jade bot in, or else you have to just craft a bunch of them. And I just would prefer to unlock the mastery and then get what the mastery is for, without also doing that extra step. Like, that is the point of masteries, right? You don't have to unlock mounts on every single character. You don't, have to get a glider on every single character, and yet for Jade bots, you have to do it on every single character, and I don't think that feels good. Marjorie, what are your thoughts on Mai Trin and Yao and the whole shebang here? How you holding up?
Who, me? I'm just trying to do some serious investigative work here, Commander. Instead, I've spent the better part of today playing babysitter to a shambolic pirate with a debilitating hangover. I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you're whiny is what you are. Since you like talking about Mai Trin, what's your take?
I'd a copper for every time she's apologized to me today? Huh. I don't care if she says she's turned over a new leaf, or if she's ready to make amends. I need to see it. And so far, I haven't seen much of anything.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fair, but it doesn't mean I want to hear about it all the time.
Nothing. I think he's being lax on the comms because he knows Rama can tune in. Or he could just be distracted by a neat bug or something. That's equally plausible.
I actually hope he's distracted, he being Gork, is distracted by a neat bug. That would be like best case scenario, because we like Gork, and he likes bugs, so I hope that's what's going on here. So Mai Trin, I guess Marjorie's been giving you like a hard time today. It's been quite a thing. You want to talk about it? You feeling any better from your hangover?
After a
bowl of Haineng noodles and winning a robot punching contest, hard not to feel good. Also, getting used to this blindfold. I guess, thanks for that.
No problem, Captain Mai Trin. I'm here for you. Believe me when I say that. Here for you. But I'm still not sure we can trust you, Mai. So that's fair, right?
Yeah, well, I get it. Done some things I'd rather take back, but hey, you can't. Not in the mists anymore. Cause and effect actually means something. I tried to hide who I was from June, but I think in a lot of ways I was hiding from myself too. I don't know, I'm just saying, I get it. I wouldn't trust me either.
Something really interesting she says there, right? I'm not in the mist anymore. Cause and effect actually means something. Like that's really interesting because it makes me think of like coming back from Afghanistan, where suddenly like accountability and power structures and cause and effect and all those things are very different when you come back home than when you're deployed. And so I guess in a sense, right, that's kind of what Mai Trin experienced coming back from the mist here into Tyria or Cantha or whatever. I continue to be frustrated by the fact that Tyria used to represent the globe and now it only represents a continent, which means I'm really curious what the name of this whole like planet is. I guess we'll never know. Let's talk about Anka.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. She wasn't always like this, you know. We picked her up after Thamanova. I saw how smart she was. Would do anything to get the job done. But there were lines she wouldn't cross. By the time we got to the mists, she'd already seen a lot of her friends die. That can change you, but she changed a lot more. Years in there, you know? When we got back, she was like this.
So that's kind of an interesting thing. I'm not in the habit of making excuses for people who do bad things. I'm all about allowing them to own it and move forward, but I'm not about making excuses. And when I say move forward, I mean that means accepting the consequences, right? So I am not like huge on the idea of like making excuses for Anka being what she is, but there is like a causality to that. Like how did Anka get to where she is? And we get some of that from Mai Trin there, and so that's good. Like there's a difference between an excuse and an explanation, right?
You have some kind of history with that engineer?
Yao? No clue what their problem is.
Must be your agreeable personality.
When we worked together, they always came across as a bit possessive of June's attention.
Possessive?
Yeah.
Well, excuse me if we didn't all get to be June's protege with 0 qualifications.
Yao! Sorry, I didn't know you could... I didn't mean,
If you're all gonna talk behind someone's back, try using a secure frequency.
Working on it.
Whatever. I've got more important things to deal with right now. The city's on fire. Literally.
Engineer Yao, we're pursuing the ones responsible for that. But it would help if we could investigate the city's power infrastructure.
You mentioned that. Well, if Mai's with you, I guess June trusts you. For whatever reason. A couple of boxes we need to check off to get you in the door. First of all, you're gonna need to talk to who?
Who?
Lead plant engineer. Can probably get you a passcode. I think he's on a repair job. You're also gonna need to hit up the Jadebot service station. Get yourself certified. Might be able to meet you there, if I stop being a vital asset to the development of...
Dude, service station. Anything else?
That should do the trick.
Consider it done.
Alright, so we got a couple of small tasks here, which we're not going to do today. We will pick up with our small tasks tomorrow. What the?
We've also seen an increase in Kappa-related casualties. Please do not feed or pet the Kappa, and under no circumstances
Time to do some real damage.
Stupid Brotherhood. So I actually wanted to talk about the hologram that pops up and like gives public service announcements and then goes away, or he reads the news. Sometimes it gives news and goes away. So there were some folks, I mentioned this before, who kind of felt like this expansion was a little bit too much like futuristic, Cyberpunk 2077 kind of stuff going on, and not enough Guild Wars stuff going on. And this is the kind of thing that really like chapped their asses. Is like when they come to New Kainang and there's stuff like that going on. And we've had holograms in the game before, so it's not like this is the first time that we saw that. It's just somehow here it feels ubiquitous and like overwhelming, and I think definitely there's some folks who didn't like that, and I'm sympathetic to it. I've just kind of, by this point in the game, I'd kind of like learn, like the robots talk and have advertisements, like the Minority Report or something. Like, I understand why people don't like that, but it's kind of always been a problem in Guild Wars 2. So the fact that it's a problem in this expansion, like, isn't the catastrophe that maybe some people, you know, in my mind, isn't the catastrophe that some people feel it is, because it was already like all the time. All right. Anyway, this is a good place. Let's find a nice spot for us to log out here. Actually, we got a mastery point like right above us. Can we get to it, or am I gonna like do such a bad job of flying my sky scale that we're not gonna be able to get to it? Let's see. Ooh, that's a way up there. Eesh. I wonder though if we can stand on one of these like little edges here. Ooh, we cannot. Nope. Alright, there we go. We were able to get enough to boost off that. Oh, is it all the way up there? It might all be all. No, here it is. And like this kind of thing, like this matrixy stuff, although it's just fishes. But like all that, I think was off-putting for some people. It's aesthetically nice though. Like I think it's a really cool look. And I guess just accept that there's a lot of contradiction and to the point of almost nonsense in the world of Guild Wars 2. And if you can accept that, then you can appreciate like some of this stuff. Because I mean, this is like really cool, right? All right, so let's wrap it up here, and then we'll continue to move forward tomorrow. So we advanced through End of Dragons. We now have found Mai Trin. We found the Aetherblade hideout. We found Mai Trin. But that kind of doesn't matter because she's not actually in charge of anything when it comes to the Aetherblades. It's Anka. So we've advanced from Saitung into New Kaineng to try and track down Anka because she apparently represents an imminent threat to like the whole Jade power construct that June set up that kind of powers all the technology here in Cantha. And that's not good, right? So we're going to try and put a stop to all that. And that's where we will pick it up tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to next time. You have a good one.